what we've learned is that there are different strains of it. And even though a person gets vaccinated for the flu, doesn't mean that they cannot necessarily get the flu throughout the
Exactly.
year, right? So we're kind of facing the same sort of, you know, evil, I should say, with the coronavirus.
Welcome to Workshop Wednesday. Welcome to We Work Every Day. 7 days a week, cause we striving towards a better day. Don't cut me down for showing my true colors. Love me for me, cause I show love to others. This is for entrepreneurship, for Black Lives Matter. This is for the ones who are forgotten. I pray we never go backwards. This is for pushing forward in the face of adversity. Thank you, God, for protection when the world was cursing me. This is for strength, courage, and wisdom. They can't keep us in shackles. You're the one that could change the trajectory of those family matters. Be the first college grad, be the first millionaire. Be your own wildest dreams, cause the world ain't fair.
Okay. You alluded to some of these things about the healthcare benefits of a clinical trial and the
Mhm.
essential rights for individuals to make decisions to sign up for the trial. So you talked about that in the earlier questions. The last question I wanted to ask is, what advice would you give parents? Because we take all of these things and we put
Mhm.
them down as tips to parents. What are some tips that you would give parents and teachers to support students that are struggling with the uncertainties and faith as it relates to the system of clinical trials, as it relates to their group, whether they're
Yeah.
minorities or undocumented or African American? And in the African American community, we have had experiences such as the Tuskegee
Mhm.
experiment.
Mhm.
So, what advice would you give to parents and teachers on how we can prepare our,
Overcome that,
yeah,
maybe.
unprecedented times?
So my advice would be to know what you're getting into, um, by knowing why you're getting into it. There's always a means to an end, but there's always a beginning to that means. So why would, for example, with COVID, if a student or a child wants to get involved and participate in that clinical trial, or maybe the teacher wants to encourage a student, or the parent wants to encourage their kid, or a guardian wants to encourage their ward as to why they want them to participate, they have to ask themselves why. This is a novel disease. This is a novel virus, not disease. It's a virus. This is something that we know nothing about yet. That's prevalent to a cure, right?
Mhm,
So we know some things about it, but we know nothing of how to cure it.
mhm,
But we know that we need to vaccinate it so we can prevent it, if possible, from coming into our society. I mean, look at the flu. The flu's been around for ages, and we don't know really how to cure it. We just know how to, temporarily
control it.
make the systems go away, right? The symptoms go away. We know how to make a fever go down if you're vomiting or what have you, all the different things that come along with it. But with the coronavirus, we're learning. We're learning how to control the symptoms, depending on how bad the person is, right? At what stage they're at. We're learning that we may not even get the vaccine right the first time, or we may need different strains of the vaccine to hone the different strains of the virus, just like the flu. A lot of people compare it to the flu. It's not the flu, but I'm comparing it here, and just to say that we didn't know a lot about the flu years ago. What we've learned is that there are different strains of it. And even though a person gets vaccinated for the flu, doesn't mean that they cannot necessarily get the flu throughout the
Exactly.
year, right? So we're kind of facing the same sort of, you know, evil, I should say, with the coronavirus. But my advice is all the way around, look at what you're getting into and think about why you're getting into it. If you are encouraging your child to get into it because you want to help further medical science, that is a great, point of view. It is great to think that way. Go into the visit with an open mind and look at everything that's involved. Listen to what these folks are telling you when they're explaining the consent process to you. Read the form over. Don't make a hasty decision. Don't decide in the moment. Take it back home. Talk about it with your friends and family. You have a right to do that. That is part of the rights and welfare. I mean, there's just so many of them that we can't get into them all right now. But look into that. Look at that. Go skip to that page. Go to that institutional review board. Call those people up. They're there for you. They are on your side. They are not there to protect the pharmaceutical company. They're not there to protect the FDA. They're there to protect the participant. And talk to them. If it takes an hour or 2 hours of your time, find out what they have to say about it. And they're going to give it to you objectively. They're not going to tell you something that they think it's best for you because they're on the side of the pharma company or on the side of the government, because they're not on those sides. They're there for the participant.
Awesome. That is very good information. And even in our previous conversations, you mentioned how some people are so drawn to the financial benefits
Mm-hmm.
of it. And some people may participate in multiple trials at one time, not necessarily thinking about the harm that it could do to their bodies. And it's very important to think about those things, because you can't get that sense back. I was doing a little research of my own, and we were discovering that some of the trials in certain countries for the COVID-19 virus have stopped because
Mm-hmm.
of neurological problems that have resulted um, as a result of the vaccine. So we have
Mm-hmm.
to be very patient with this unprecedented time that we're going through and what we're doing, because money is something that comes and goes, and it can't replace bodily function. It can't replace a life. So
Mm-hmm.
those are very important tools that you just gave us and all of those that'll watch this broadcast. And I really appreciate your time.
Yeah. No, thank you. I think that people should just look to see what they're getting into when it comes to a clinical trial and make sure that the benefits outweigh the risk that's involved. And if you're chasing the money, figure out if all the procedures, think about it, take your time and think about it. Make sure that all the procedures that are laid out in that consent form that's provided to you based upon what you're told, if all that's worth it for you. Like, is it worth putting your body through those procedures to make a quick buck?
Exactly.
you know, because honestly, folks shouldn't be participating in multiple clinical trials at one time.
They
This
should.
is an investigational drug. Keep in mind the word investigational, folks. That means they're still investigating it. They don't know what is going to happen. They know some things that are going to happen, how you'll react, but they don't know the full deal, because if they knew, it would already be approved, right? Keep that in mind when you're searching for a study to participate in. Studies are there to help us get to where we're at. We wouldn't have a lot of life-saving medications without them. I mean, this is a systematic investigation. So think about that when you're looking to see what studies you want to participate in. Don't let money be a driving factor. I mean, this is just kidding around, but what if you join a study and you lose your hair? And
Huh?
that was an unexpected side effect, right?
Right?
They
Yeah.
didn't know that was going to happen to you, but was $50 worth losing your hair over?
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Do your own research and figure out for yourself if it's worth it for you.
And for those who are interested in participating or doing some research on participating in clinical studies, where could they go?
So there is a website provided by the government, and it's called clinicaltrials.gov, and it's a pretty user-friendly website. You can basically plug in your medical condition, and that kind of takes you to different tabs of what studies are going on for people that have maybe like type 2 diabetes in your area.
Okay. Okay. So that's very good information. And you did allude to the fact that if you don't have any healthcare insurance and you're struggling with a certain issue, that if you were to participate in a clinical study, that it would ensure that you get the state of the art medical treatment that you would normally get if you had insurance. So if there is an ailment, it would be good to research if there are any clinical trials going on that related to a condition that you have.
Right, because like let's just say that there was someone who, for example, in this situation, did have medical health care and they found out that they were diabetic, but then maybe they lost their job. And so that health care went away, but they know that they are a type 2 diabetic. So they can go and talk to people that are, looking for participants for a clinical trial for type 2 diabetes. And they would have their blood sugars um, done. They would know on a constant basis where they were with that, which is basically what diabetes, kind of hones in on. And then they could join a study where they would get their vitals done all the time, their blood work done, their sugar levels looked at. And they get equipment along with that too. Like they get a monitor to see, let me prick my finger and see what my sugar levels are. Maybe I don't have that already. Maybe the study for these folks is looking at a port, right? And so it's a connective port, and maybe that provides my insulin on a normal basis, right? And so that could be an option as well. There's a lot of different things to look at and a lot of different benefits from the healthcare aspect. Don't let it bring you down. I would still want to see a doctor no matter what is concerned or involved, because a lot of these doctors as well, folks, they have resources at their fingertips. Let's just say that there's a placebo involved in their clinical trial that they're doing. But if your diabetes isn't controlled, if you're an unmanageable diabetic and you just can't afford the management, and maybe you don't qualify for their study, they can refer you to someone who can help you get that quality of care that you need.
Awesome. That is awesome information. Well, we thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Coming up to
St. Louis.
Oh,
and Atlanta. St. Louis first and Atlanta. Yes.
To continue your work. And we appreciate what you're doing in the field. And again, we thank you for your information. It was very, very informative, and we look forward to a continued partnership and collaboration. Thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you so much. And if anybody has any questions, hit up Dr. Kiki and she'll get with me and we'll get you steered in the right direction. And before we go, I just want to give a shout out to my girl, Nicole Epps, because like you said in the beginning, this wouldn't be possible without her. So Nikki, thank you, girl.
All righty. Thanks again, Kametria. Thank you so much.
All righty. Besitos, everybody.
Have a good one. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Buenas tardes. Yes.
Oh, yes.
All righty. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Right. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Continue to support Workshop Wednesday and continue to encourage all those that you see to press forward during this time. Thank you for tuning in. Dr. Kiki signing out. Stay tuned on next week where we will bring you more of H-Town's finest. Take care. God bless.
Strength, courage, and wisdom, they can't keep us in shackles. You're the one that could change the trajectory of those family matters. Be the first college grad, be the first millionaire. Be your own wildest dreams, cause the world ain't fair. I am the